Hi, first grade. I know you just finished reading chapter 2, and remember in Rosa Parks School, when we were in school together, we always worked on our I do, we do, and you do. So we are going to do that together today, and we're going to start with my I do. The learning goal today is I can ask and answer questions about important details in a story. So I know you just read chapter 2. And my question today for my I do is, why did Fern's dad say that Wilbur had to be sold? Why did Fern's dad say that Wilbur had to be sold? I'm going to go back to the text. And here we are in chapter 2. Oh, this chapter talked about how Wilbur was taken very good care of by Fern. And towards the end of the chapter, Fern starts to weep, which means cry, because her father is very firm about him being sold. So why did Fern's dad say that? Here it is right in the text on page 12. Mr. Arabelle said he was now big enough to sell and would have to be sold. Fern broke down and wept, but her father was firm about it. Wilbur's appetite had increased. He was beginning to eat scraps of food in addition to milk. Mr. Arabelle was not willing to provide for him any longer. He had already sold Wilbur's 10 brothers and sisters. So now I'm going to go back to the question and put the answer into my own words. Why did Fern's dad say that Wilbur had to be sold? So I'm going to start the answer with my question. I don't want to underline, so we'll take that out. Fern's dad wants to sell Wilbur because he is now 5 weeks old and beginning to eat food. He is no longer just drinking milk. And Fern's dad doesn't want to provide for him any longer. Although Fern weeps, her dad says, I'll use my quotation marks, he's got to go, Fern. So good writers and readers always reread what they wrote. Make sure I answered my question and included details. Back to my learning goal. Fern's dad wants to sell Wilbur because he is now 5 weeks old and beginning to eat food. He is no longer just drinking milk, and Fern's dad doesn't want to provide for him any longer. Although Fern weeps, her dad says, he's got to go, Fern. So together, boys and girls, there was another word in our text today, infant. So for our we do, our question is, how does Fern treat Wilbur like an infant? An infant is a baby. So look at the text and write me one way Fern treats Wilbur like an infant. I will make a class chart for us, which will then help you with your you do, which will be due tomorrow. And your you do is, how did Fern take good care of Wilbur? So let's start with our we do and write me one way Fern treats Wilbur like an infant.